The celestial bloom shuddered violently. Loud booms echoed through the metal walls like giant fists hitting the ship. Red lights flashed fast, painting everything in angry light. Smoke filled the air, making it hard to breathe. It was cold, very cold. Queen Gia stood tall, but it hurt. Her shiny, hard skin, her carapace, was cracked near her side. Blue blood seeped out, staining the smooth floor. She was big, taller than any human, with many eyes that saw in all directions. Her 4 long arms held tight to a command console, the only thing keeping her steady. Around her, the beautiful room was broken. Screens were dark or showed scary red warnings. Glass from a shattered window lay everywhere. 3 large figures stood near her, Kor, Ren, and Vex. They were her best guards, Velnari like her, covered in strong armor, holding long energy lances. But they didn't look strong now. They looked scared. Their many eyes darted around, scanning the broken room, listening to the terrible sounds outside. "Look!" Kor yelled, pointing a shaking claw at a main screen. The screen showed dark shapes moving through bright, colorful space gas. The Kessel Nebula. "Scar boarding pods! They got through our shields! How? Their tech shouldn't work here." His voice was high, not the deep, strong voice of a guard captain. Ren slammed a fist on his armor. "It's the dampening field. It's real. We're blind. We're dead if we stay." He turned to the Queen. "Majesty, retreat protocol Delta. Now, we must save you." Vex activated a small device on his wrist. A hidden door hissed open, revealing a small escape pod. "The lineage must survive. The throne must continue. Our duty is to the future, not this broken moment." He gestured urgently towards the pod. Queen Ga straightened as much as her injury allowed. Pain shot through her, but her voice was sharp, commanding. It carried a strange power, a sound that usually made Velnari obey without question. "You dare speak of retreat? You dare abandon your queen? Stand, fight, or lose your rank. Lose your place in the hive." Her mandibles clicked loudly, showing her anger. Kor met her many eyes. Fear was still there, but under it was something colder, harder. "Preservation is the fight, Majesty," he said, his voice lower now, firm. "Dying here serves nothing. We live to rebuild. We live to serve the throne, not just the ruler sitting on it right now." He turned fully towards the escape pod. "The choice is clear. Survival." Without another word, Kor, Ren, Nam, and Vex activated small thrusters on their backs. Blue flames shot out, lifting them off the floor. They flew fast towards the open escape pod hatch. Kor looked back just once, his expression unreadable, then vanished inside. The hatch slammed shut. A second later, a bright flash as the pod shot away, disappearing into the swirling colors of the nebula. Silence. Not true silence. The ship still groaned. Metal screamed. Alarms wailed. But a terrible silence where the guards had been. Queen Ga felt the cold air bite her cracked carapace. She felt the blood slowly soaking her side. She felt alone. Utterly, completely alone. For the first time in her long life, her protectors were gone. Left her. Because they were scared. Shame burned hotter than the cold. Shame that her own guards, bred for loyalty, had run. Shame that she, the queen, was now helpless. She lowered her head. Her many eyes closed for a moment. What was the point? The scar would come. They would kill her. End the hive's royal line right here. She had failed. Failed her people. Failed herself. Slowly, she raised her head. She looked around the ruined command deck, the place where she should feel safest. Only one figure remained. Not a Velnari warrior. Not someone bred for this. A human. Park Taisik. He stood near a broken console, about the same height as a Velnari but much smaller, made of soft skin and bone. Not hard carapace. He wore simple blue clothes, Earth Coast security fatigues, stained with soot and something dark. He held a gray rifle, not an energy lance, but something called a pulse rifle. He wasn't looking at the escape pod hatch. He wasn't looking at the flashing screens showing doom. He was looking at her. His face was calm. Not happy, not scared. just calm, like he was checking a broken machine, not watching his own death approach. He moved his hand slowly over the side of his rifle, checking something. Then he looked toward the main door, then back at her. His eyes, two simple human eyes, met her many. Queen Ga braced herself. Now he runs too. Humans were weak, fragile. They always ran when things got hard. She saw it in their history files. Panic. Self-preservation above all. He would turn and bolt for the next escape route, leaving her truly alone. The shame deepened, mixing with a strange new feeling. Disappointment. Why should she care what a human did? But she did, just a little. Tysick didn't move towards the door. He didn't look for an escape. He just stood there, his breathing steady even in the thin, cold air. He glanced at a small device on his wrist, then back at her. He took one slow step towards her, then another. He stopped a few steps away. He didn't bow. Didn't show the deep respect Velnari always gave the queen. He just looked at her injury, then at her face. His voice cut through the noise, low and steady. Not loud, not shouting, just clear. "Ma'am," he said. The words sounded strange but respectful. "That side corridor," he pointed with his chin towards a smaller, darker passage leading away from the main deck, "leads to Auxiliary Bridge Delta. It's shielded. Safer right now than staying here." He paused, checking his wrist device again. "We move in 30 seconds. Can you walk?" Queen Gi stared. Her mandibles stopped clicking. Her many eyes widened. 30 seconds? He wasn't running. He was planning. What, he was giving orders? To her? The queen? And he asked if she could walk, like she was just another soldier? Confusion warred with pain. Was this a trick? Was he leading her into a trap for the scar? Humans were known for tricks. But his eyes, they held no deceit, only that same calm focus. He wasn't looking at her crown or her royal markings. He was looking at the blood on her side, at the way she leaned on the console. He shifted his weight slightly, his hand resting easily on his rifle. He wasn't pointing it at her. He was ready, but not for her, for whatever was coming through the main door. He was watching the danger, not her, protecting her space, even now. 30 seconds. He said 30 seconds. He was counting them down in his head. She could see it in his stillness, the calm before action, not the frantic panic of her guards, not the frozen fear she felt in herself. Why? Why wasn't he running? The question hammered in her mind, louder than the ship's groans. Velnari ran for the greater good of the hive. What good was there for a human in staying? Only death. Stupid, pointless death. He met her gaze again. No fear, no pity, just assessment, like she was terrain to be crossed, a problem to be solved. "Ma'am," he prompted gently, his voice still low. "Can you walk?" The main door groaned. Metal bent inward with a terrible screech. A huge hole ripped open near the top. Cold space air howled in, sucking loose debris toward the tear. Outside, through the ragged edges, she saw the dark shapes of Scar pirates, hulking, armored brutes with sharp weapons, climbing through. The Scar were here. Queen Ge felt the old terror surge. Her legs trembled. She wanted to freeze, to hide, to wait for death. But the human didn't flinch. He didn't look at the breach. His eyes stayed locked on her, waiting for her answer, waiting for her to move. "Can you walk, ma'am?" he asked again, the words clear and calm over the new roar of space. The Scar roared, stepping onto the deck. One raised a huge, smoking gun. Tysick finally looked at the threat. He raised his pulse rifle smoothly, not with panic, but with practiced ease. He fired 2 quick shots. Bright pulses of light slammed into the lead Scar's chest plate, making it spark and smoke. The brute stumbled back, surprised. He lowered the rifle slightly, his eyes snapping back to the queen. 20 seconds, ma'am, he said, as if discussing the weather. "Can you walk?" The queen looked from the wounded Scar to the calm human. Shame and fear were still there. But something else flickered, a tiny spark. He was fighting. For her. While stronger, faster, Velnari had fled. She took a deep, painful breath. The blood on her side felt warm. She pushed herself away from the console. Her legs wobbled but held. She took one step, then another, towards the dark corridor he had pointed to, towards the human. She didn't speak. She just nodded. A small, stiff movement of her head, a flicker of something, relief, crossed Tysik's face. He gave a single sharp nod back. Good, stay behind me. Move when I move. He turned his full attention to the breach, his rifle ready, his body positioned squarely between her and the scar. Queen Ga stood in the shadow of the corridor, watching the small, fragile human soldier face the roaring monsters alone. He didn't have energy lances. He didn't have thrusters. He just had a rifle, a calm voice, and the simple, impossible act of not running away. The shame didn't vanish, but it changed. It mixed with something new, something sharp and bright, the first fragile thread of hope, and the burning, unanswerable question: why the small corridor was dark. Only Tysik's small light showed the way. Queen Ga limped behind him, her side hurting bad. Her blue blood left sticky dots on the metal floor. The ship groaned like a dying animal. Cold air blew from broken pipes. She felt weak, scared. Why is he helping me, she thought. Humans run. They always run. She remembered the history files Earth shared. Humans panicked. They saved themselves first, like her guards had done. Kor, Ren, Vex. They ran to save the hive's future. Smart, logical. But this human stayed. It made no sense. Is he tricking me? Leading me to the scar? Her claws tightened. She could strike him down now, but she was too slow, too hurt, and the scar were close. She had to follow. Tysik moved like a shadow. He didn't rush. He listened. At a corner, he stopped, held up one hand. Ga froze. She heard it too. Heavy boots clomping down the hall ahead. Scar voices, rough and loud. They were searching. Tysik looked at the floor. A small, shiny plate was half hidden under dust. A trap. He stepped carefully around it, not on it. He pulled Ga's arm gently, guiding her foot to step in the same safe spot. His touch was firm but not rough. He didn't look at her face. His eyes were on the danger ahead. He pointed to a dark space in the wall, a small room for machines. He pushed Ga inside first, slid in after her, pulled the metal door almost shut, left a tiny crack. Outside, two huge Scar walked past. They wore dark, heavy armor, carried big guns that smoked. One kicked the pressure plate Tysik had avoided. Nothing happened. They grunted, disappointed, and moved on. Ga held her breath. Her heart beat fast. In the dark room, she felt the old shame again. Weak, hiding, like prey. She couldn't help it. A small, shaky sound escaped her. A soft click, like a broken wing. To Velnari, it was a sign of deep fear. A call for help. A sign of weakness that could get you killed. She froze. He heard. He knows I'm weak. She braced for disgust. For him to push her out into the hall for the scar. Velnari warriors killed the weak to keep the hive strong. He will do the same. But Tysik didn't move. Didn't look at her with hate. He just kept watching the crack in the door. The scar sounds faded. When it was quiet, he turned. His face was calm in the dim light. He saw her tense body, her lowered head. He didn't smile, didn't frown. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a flat brown bar, tore off a small piece, held it out to her. Chew slow, he said, his voice quiet. Helps with the shakes. Ga stared. Food? Now? Velnari didn't eat when scared. They fought or fled. But the small piece looked safe, solid. She took it. It was dry and hard. She chewed slowly, like he said. It tasted plain, but warm. The shaking in her legs lessened a little. Tysik ate a piece too. He watched the door. We're close, he whispered, just past the steam room. He opened the door, let her out. They moved faster now. The corridor got hotter. A steam hissed from broken pipes overhead, making thick white clouds. It was hard to see, hard to breathe. Tysik stopped, listened. Footsteps again, closer. He pulled Ga behind a large pipe, hugged the wall. Two more Scar walked through the steam. One pointed his gun at the steam. Smell that? Velnari stink, close. GA's blood ran cold. They found us. She tensed to fight, even if she died. But Tasik didn't move. He waited. The Scar walked right past them, blind in the steam. When they were gone, Tasik nodded. Good. He led her through the steam room. GA's cracked carapace hurt in the heat. She stumbled. Tasik caught her arm. Not roughly, just enough to steady her. Easy, ma'am, he said. No impatience. Just fact. They reached a heavy metal door. Tasik tried the handle, locked. He pulled out a small tool, gray, with buttons. Stuck it in the lock. It beeped. The door clicked open. Inside was small, dark, full of old machines. Wires hung like vines. Tasik closed the door, locked it with his tool. Safe for a minute, he said. He turned on his light, looked at her side. That cut needs sealing. He knelt, pulled a small silver patch from his pocket. It looked like foil. He pressed it gently over her cracked carapace. It stuck, felt cool. The bleeding slowed. GA watched him. His hands were steady. His face showed no fear, only focus. Like fixing a broken pipe, she thought, not saving a queen. He didn't treat her like royalty. He treated her like a person who was hurt. Why? The question burned again. Velnari guards served the hive, not the queen. They ran to save the bloodline. What did a human care about her bloodline? Nothing. He should have run too. Saved himself. Better? Tasik asked, standing up. She nodded. Couldn't speak. Her many eyes studied him. His simple clothes. His calm eyes. The pulse rifle he held like it was part of his hand. He wasn't strong like a Velnari. He wasn't fast like a Velnari. But he was smart. He used the ship, the steam, the floor. He saw things others missed. He checked his wrist device. Scar are everywhere. Main path blocked. He pointed to a hole in the floor. A crawl space. Dark. Tight. This way. To the auxiliary bridge. GA looked at the hole. Too small for her. She'd get stuck. Panic rose, trapped, helpless. She shook her head. No, I cannot. Tasik didn't argue. He looked at the hole, looked at her size, nodded. Okay. He moved to a big machine against the wall, pulled a lever. Metal groaned. The machine shifted sideways just enough, revealed another hole, bigger, made for maintenance bots, but big enough for her. Try this one, he said. She crawled in. Tight, but she fit. Tasik followed. The space was hot, smelled of oil. They crawled on hands and knees. GA's new patch stuck to the metal floor. She winced. Suddenly, Tasik stopped, held up a hand. Below them, through a crack in the floor, she saw Scar. 3 of them, standing guard at a door marked engineering. One Scar kicked the door. Queen in there? Or just junk? Smells Velnari, another said. Boss wants her alive. Or parts. They laughed, a harsh, ugly sound. GA froze. They know I'm here. Fear choked her. She tried to be silent, but a small, high whine escaped her throat. Weak. Pathetic. She clamped her mandibles shut. Too late. The Scar looked up. Sound, one growled. He raised his gun, scanning the ceiling. Tasik moved fast. He pulled GA down flat, covered her body with his. Not to hide her scent. He knew that was useless. To shield her. His body was a wall between her and the guns below. The Scar scanned the crawl space. One shone a light up. It swept over Tasik's boots. Stopped. This is it, GI thought. He dies for me. Stupid human. But Tasik didn't move. Didn't breathe loud. He stayed perfectly still. Like stone. The light moved on. The Scar grunted. Rat. Just a space rat. They turned away. Tasik waited. Counted slow breaths. When the Scar were distracted, he tapped GA's arm. Pointed forward. They crawled on. At the end of the crawl space, a ladder led down. Tasik went first, helped her down. They were in a small room. Control panels lined the walls. Her screens glowed softly. Auxiliary Bridge Delta, Tasik whispered. Shielded room. Safe for now. He locked the door behind them, leaned against it, breathing hard. Sweat stained his shirt. He was tired, but he still stood straight. G.A. looked around. Safe. Quiet. She turned to him. Wanted to say something. Thank you? But Velnari queens didn't thank soldiers. They gave orders. Instead, she asked the only thing that mattered. Why? Tysik wiped sweat from his brow. Looked at her, confused. Why what, ma'am? Why stay? When others ran? You could have escaped, saved yourself. He thought for a second. Shook his head. My job was to keep you safe. That's all. Job? She almost laughed. Your job was gone when the ship broke. When my guards left, your duty ended. Why risk death for a duty that no longer exists? Tysik walked to a control panel. Checked the screens. Duty doesn't end because things get hard, ma'am, he said, not looking at her. It ends when the job is done, or when you're dead. He turned, his eyes were steady. Job's not done. You're still here. G.I. felt something strange. Not shame, not fear. Warmth, like the ration bar. He didn't see a queen. He didn't see the hive's future. He saw a person who needed help. And he helped. Because it was right. Outside the door, Scar voices grew louder. Heavy boots stomped. They were coming. Tysik picked up his pulse rifle, checked the charge. They found us, he said calmly. He moved to stand between G.A. and the door. Ready. G.A. looked at his back. Small, human. Not a Velnari warrior, but standing firm. For her. But she stepped up beside him. Not behind. Beside. Her claws flexed. Ready to fight. Not for the hive. Not for the throne. For the human who stayed. The door handle rattled. Metal bent. The Scar were here. Tysik didn't flinch. G.I. didn't tremble. They stood together. Waiting. The queen and the soldier who wouldn't run. The metal door screamed. Huge dents popped inward. Sparks flew as Scar weapons fired through the cracks. Queen G.I. pressed her back against the control panels. Her claws dug into the metal. Her heart hammered against her cracked carapace. The silver patch Tysik put on her side felt cold and tight. Tysik didn't look at the door. He moved fast. He grabbed 2 small black boxes from his belt. Slapped them on the wall near the door. Wires snaked out. He tapped his wrist device. Beep. Beep. The boxes glowed red. Way down, he yelled. G.A. dropped just as the door exploded inward. Metal shards flew like angry bees. Smoke filled the room. Through the smoke, huge shapes charged in. 3 Scar. Big as Velnari warriors, but uglier. Thick gray skin. Eyes like burning coals. They wore heavy armor, scarred and stained. They raised weapons that spat fire and smoke. Tysik fired his pulse rifle. Pew! Pew! Bright blue bolts hit the lead Scar's chest plate. It sparked and smoked, but didn't stop him. The Scar roared, swinging a huge metal club. Tysik ducked. The club smashed the console where G.A. had stood. Sparks rained down. He rolled sideways, firing again. Pew! The shot hit the Scar's knee. The brute stumbled, howling. But the other 2 Scar were almost on him. Tysik didn't try to fight them head on. He threw a small, gray canister at the floor between them. Hiss. Thick white smoke poured out, filling the small room. G.I. coughed. She couldn't see. She heard grunts, the thud of boots, the crack of the metal club hitting walls. Through the smoke, she saw Tysik's shape move like a ghost. He wasn't running away. He was using the smoke. Pew! A shot! A Scar screamed, thud. Another Scar fell, tripping over his fallen comrade. The lead Scar, the one with the bad knee, burst through the smoke. He saw G.I. crouched by the panels. He grinned, showing broken, yellow teeth. He raised his club for a killing blow. G.I. froze. Too slow. Too weak. This was it. Tysik appeared from nowhere. Not shooting. He grabbed a loose cable hanging from a broken screen, swung it like a whip. Crack. It wrapped around the Scar's club arm. Tysik yanked hard. And the Scar lost his grip. The club clattered across the floor. The Scar roared, turning on Tysik. He was huge. Close. Tysik didn't flinch. He stomped hard on the Scar's injured knee. Crunch. The brute screamed, collapsing. Tysik raised his pulse rifle. Pew! The shot hit the Scar square in the face. He fell silent. The smoke cleared. Two Scar lay dead. One groaned, trying to crawl away. Tysick fired once more. Pew! Silence. He turned to G.I. His face was smudged with soot. His shirt was torn, but his eyes were calm. You okay, ma'am? G.I. nodded, still shaking. She looked at the dead Scar, at Tysick's simple rifle. How did you do that? Your weapon? It's weak. Tysick walked to the door, checking the hall. Weak? Maybe, but it hits what I aim at. He pointed to the dead Scar's chest plate. Are their armor strong front and back? Knees, face, softer spots. Aim small. He kicked the fallen club. Big weapons, slow them down. Good. He moved to the main control panel. Screens showed the ship's guts. Red lines marked broken systems. They're overloading engineering, he said, frowning. Trying to blow the whole ship. We need to stop it. Can you talk to the ship, like before? G.I. stepped forward. Her side ached badly. She placed her claws on the cold metal panel, closed her many eyes, focused. The celestial bloom was dying. She felt its pain like her own. Broken pipes, failing power, the reactor and engineering, red hot, unstable. Scar were jamming controls, forcing it past safe limits. It's bad, she whispered, her voice strained. The core, it will explode in 10 minutes, maybe less. She opened her eyes. The purge system, it's broken, needs manual reset, deep inside engineering. Tysick's face went very still. Inside engineering? While it's melting down? Yes. G.I. looked at the screen showing the reactor room. Flames licked the walls. Energy crackled. No one can get close. It's suicide. Tysick didn't look at the screen. He looked at the room, at the control panels, at the thick metal walls. Maybe not inside, he murmured. He tapped a screen showing the engineering shaft, a huge vertical tunnel beside engineering. This shaft, it runs right up past engineering, right? Yes, G.A. said, but it's just a service tunnel. Empty. Empty? Tysick's eyes lit up. He moved fast, pulling up schematics. Look, this shaft has magnetic containment fields, like giant magnets. As they hold the reactor stable, he pointed to a blinking red line on the screen. This line controls the main field. If we boost it just right when the core blows, it might contain the blast. Redirect the energy outwards, not let it rip the ship apart. G.I. studied the schematics. It was risky, very risky. The field controls, they're in engineering, near the core. Tysick shook his head. No. See this? He pointed to a smaller panel on the screen. Emergency override, it's here, in this room, but, he frowned. It needs a signal from inside the shaft. Someone has to be down there near engineering to trigger it at the exact second. G.A. felt cold. Down there? When the core explodes? They'd be vaporized. Maybe, Tysick admitted. He looked at the schematics, thinking hard. But look at the coolant pipes. He zoomed in. So thick pipes ran alongside the shaft, carrying super cold liquid to the reactor. If we rupture one just before the core blows, the steam blast might push the energy up the shaft, right where we need it. Give us more time. He turned to G.A. Can you hold the purge signal? Keep it ready? Yes, I can link to it. G.A. placed her claws back on the panel. But the coolant pipe? How? Tysick grabbed his multi-tool, the small gray device. This, it can cut metal. I'll go down the shaft, cut the pipe. Trigger the purge when you say. G.A.'s heart stopped. You? Go down there? Alone? The heat? The radiation? Someone has to, Tysick said simply. He checked his pulse rifle. Got to be fast, got to be precise. He walked to a hatch in the floor, the access to the engineering shaft. It was small, dark. Open it. Yes, I'll climb down. No! G.A. stepped in front of the hatch. It's death. Let the ship blow. Maybe a rescue ship will... Too late for rescue, Tysick cut in, his voice firm but not unkind. Scar jammed all signals, and if this ship blows, it takes half the nebula with it. Maybe hits other ships. Innocent people. He looked her straight in her many eyes. My job's not done, ma'am. You're still here, and so are others who might be alive on this ship. Gotta try. He gently moved her aside, not roughly, just firmly. He opened the hatch. Cold, oily air rushed up. Below, GA saw flickering red light, heard the angry hum of the dying reactor. Tysick clipped his pulse rifle to his belt, took out the multi-tool. He looked at her. Ready at the panel. When you see the core hit critical, yell, now. I'll cut the pipe and trigger the purge. He started to climb down the ladder into the dark shaft. GI ran to the control panel. Her claws flew over the screens, linking to the purge system. She saw the reactor's state. 9 minutes left. 8.5. Her many eyes scanned the data. She felt Tysick's small presence in the shaft. A faint blip on the sensors. Moving down. Fast. 7 minutes. 6. The Scar must have noticed the purge attempt. Heavy boots pounded in the hall outside Auxiliary Bridge Delta. More Scar coming. GA didn't look up. She watched the reactor readout. 5 minutes. 4.5. Tysick was near the coolant pipe junction. She saw his blip stop. Suddenly, the door to Auxiliary Bridge Delta buckled. Boom! Scar were trying to break in again. GA's hands shook. She focused on the screen. 3 minutes. Tysick's blip was steady. Waiting. Boom! The door cracked. Light shone through. 2 minutes. The reactor hit 90% critical. GA saw Tysick's blip move. He was at the pipe. She watched the numbers climb. 95%, 96%. Crash! The door burst open. 2 Scar charged in, guns raised. GI didn't flinch. She kept her eyes on the screen. 98%, 99%. Now! She screamed into the comms. Below in the dark shaft, Tysick pressed the multi-tool to the thick coolant pipe. It whined, cutting through metal. Steam hissed out. He jumped back as the pipe burst. Super cold liquid met super hot air. A massive blast of white steam exploded upwards. At the same second, Tysick slammed his hand on the purge trigger. Above, GA hit the override. The engineering shaft lit up like a star. Not an explosion, but a controlled wave of blue energy shot upwards, ran out of the ship into the nebula. The ship shuddered violently, but didn't tear apart. The 2 Scar at the door were thrown back by the force, crashing into the wall. Stunned. GA rushed to the viewport overlooking the shaft. Through the swirling steam and energy, she saw Tysick. He was crouched near the ruptured pipe, bathed in the reactor's hellish glow. He looked up, saw her watching. He gave a single, sharp nod. Go! Then he turned, checking the purge was holding as the steam cleared. The Scar groaned, starting to move. GA spun from the viewport. She grabbed Tysick's fallen pulse rifle, aimed at the dazed Scar. Pew! Pew! 2 shots. They fell. Silence. The ship groaned, but it was stable. The core was cooling. GA ran back to the viewport. The shaft was dark now. Empty. Tysick was gone. Only the broken pipe and cooling metal remained. She sank to her knees. Blue tears like glowing sap traced paths through the grime on her face. She picked up Tysick's multi-tool from the floor where he'd dropped it. It was warm. She held it tight against her cracked carapace, where her heart beat. The small, simple tool of a human who chose to stay, who chose to save others, who fought not with big weapons, but with a clear head and a steady hand. She pressed the beacon button. A single, steady light pulsed in the dark room. A signal, a promise. He would be found. He would be remembered. Queen GA knelt on the cold floor of Auxiliary Bridge Delta. Her claws held Tysick's multi-tool tight against her cracked carapace. The small gray device felt warm from his hands. Blue tears like glowing sap fell from her many eyes. They traced clean paths through the grime on her face. The ship groaned around her, but it was still alive, thanks to him. Below in the dark engineering shaft, there was only silence. No movement, no sign of the human. He was gone, vaporized by the reactor's heat, or crushed by falling metal. She knew it. The sacrifice was complete. He stayed when others ran. He fought with simple tools and a calm heart, and he died saving her. Outside the broken door, Scar groaned. They were waking up. Soon they would attack again. But GA didn't move. She couldn't. Her body felt heavy. Her side ached badly under the silver patch. Shame mixed with grief. I let him go alone. I didn't stop him. Velnari Queens didn't feel guilt, but she did, deep in her core. She looked at the multi-tool. Its small screen was cracked, but the beacon button glowed faintly. Tai-6's last gift. Signal the first friendly ship you see, he said. She pressed the button. A soft beep. A single green light pulsed on the tool. Steady, calm, like Tai-6 himself. GA stood up. Pain shot through her side, but she ignored it. She walked to the main control panel. Her claws moved over the screens. She found the ship's external comms, opened a channel, set it to broadcast on all frequencies. Human, Velnari, Scar, anyone listening. She took a deep breath. Her voice when it came was raw, weak but clear. This is Queen Choi Ji-A of the Velnari hegemony. She paused, swallowed the lump in her throat. I am alive. The celestial bloom is stable, but we are under attack by Scar pirates. She looked down at the multi-tool in her hand. The green light pulsed. His light. Where the human soldier, Park Tae-sik, he saved my life. He held the line when all others fled. He sacrificed himself to stop the reactor explosion. Her voice broke. His name is Park Tae-sik. Remember it. Priority Alpha. Repeat, Priority Alpha. She closed the channel, sat down hard on the floor, leaned against the control panel. The beacon's green light reflected in her wet eyes. Park Tae-sik, a simple name, for a simple human who did the impossible. She traced the letters on the multi-tool with a claw tip. Parktaesik. She would not forget. Footsteps echoed outside. Heavy, Scar footsteps. They were coming. GI didn't reach for the pulse rifle. She just held the multi-tool tighter. If they killed her now, she would die holding proof of his courage. Let the Scar take her. She had done her duty. She had sent the signal. The footsteps stopped at the door. A shadow filled the broken entrance. GI closed her eyes, waited for the shot. Instead, a voice crackled over a comm. Queen GA, this is Captain Lee Soo-min of the Velnari Rescue Fleet. Do you copy? GI's eyes snapped open. She scrambled to the comms panel. Yes, I copy. Scar are here. They're at the door. Stand by, Majesty, the voice said. Calm, professional. We have your signal. We see the Scar pods. Engaging now. Outside, loud booms shook the ship. Bright flashes lit the broken doorway. Not explosions, but energy blasts from a much larger ship. GA heard Scar shouting in panic, then screams, then silence. Minutes later, the sound of soft boots. Not Scar. Lighter. Velnari. 3 armored figures stepped through the door. Their armor gleamed. Their energy lances were ready. As they scanned the room, then knelt before her. Your Majesty, the lead soldier said, we are here to extract you. GA didn't move. Where is Park Tae-sik? She asked, her voice flat. The soldiers exchanged looks. Human security consultant, ma'am. Our sensors show no life signs in engineering or the shaft. He's gone, GA whispered. She held up the multi-tool. The green light still pulsed. But he saved us. Take this. It's his. The soldiers helped her up. They were careful of her injured side. One carried her pulse rifle. Another took the multi-tool gently from her claws. They led her through the broken ship, past dead Scar, past ruined corridors. The celestial bloom was a tomb, but she was alive, because of one human. They reached a shuttle dock. A small Velnari ship waited, its engines humming. Inside, it was clean and bright. Medics in white coats rushed forward. They guided GA to a soft bed, checked her wounds. The silver patch on her side was peeling. They cleaned the cut, applied fresh sealant. It stung, but she didn't care. Rest now, Majesty, a medic said. You're safe. GA shook her head. Not yet. She pointed to a screen on the wall. It showed the stars outside. Keep scanning the engineering shaft. For Park Tae-sik. His body might be there. The medic hesitated. Ma'am, the radiation levels are still lethal. Nothing survived down there. Scan anyway, GI ordered. Her voice left no room for argument. Do it. The medic nodded. As you command. The shuttle lifted off. GA watched through the window as the celestial bloom grew smaller, a broken toy against the colorful nebula. She saw the small scar pods floating dead in space. How the rescue fleet, 3 large Velnari warships, hovered nearby. Safe, strong, everything her own guards should have been. She closed her eyes, saw Tysik again, not dead, standing firm in the smoke-filled corridor, nodding at her. "Can you walk, ma'am?" He didn't see a queen. He saw a person who needed help, and he helped. Until the end. The shuttle docked with the flagship Starlight Sovereign. GA was moved to a medbay room. White walls, soft light, clean air, no ship groans, no scar threats. Just quiet. She lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling. The medics gave her something for pain. It made her head fuzzy, but she pushed it away. "Where is the multi-tool?" she asked a nurse. The nurse brought it. The small gray device, the green light still pulsed steadily. GA took it, held it against her chest, over her heart. It felt like the only real thing left. Hours passed. The pain in her side faded to a dull throb. She sat up, looked out the medbay window. Stars glittered peacefully. No sign of the battle. She pressed the beacon button again. The green light pulsed. Strong. Constant. A soft chime. The door slid open. Captain Lee Suman entered. She was human, like Tysik, wore a neat blue uniform. Her face was kind but serious. "Queen GA," she said, bowing slightly. "I'm so glad you're safe." GI didn't return the bow. She held up the multi-tool. "Park Tysik gave me this. Before he died, he said to signal the first friendly ship." Her voice was low. "He saved me, while my own guards ran." Captain Suman's eyes filled with tears. "I know, Majesty. We received your distress call. We heard about Park Tysik." She stepped closer. He was a good man, a brave soldier. We will miss him." "Will you tell his family?" GI asked. "Will you tell them what he did?" "Yes," Captain Suman promised. "They will know. All of humanity will know." GI looked down at the pulsing light. His name was Park Tysik, not just the human, Park Tysik. She said the name slowly, carefully, like it was precious. "Remember it." "I will, Majesty," Captain Suman said. "I promise." The captain left. GI was alone again. She turned off the room lights, sat by the window, held the multi-tool in her claws. The green beacon light cut through the darkness. One pulse, then another, steady, calm. She thought of Tysik's last nod. Go. He didn't say goodbye. He said go. So she would go. She would live. She would tell his story. To the hive. To the stars. To anyone who would listen. How the beacon pulsed. Out into the void. A silent message. Not a distress call. A tribute. A promise. Humanity, fuck yeah. One small human with a steady hand and a calm heart had changed everything. He stayed when he should have run. He fought when he should have hidden. He died so others could live. GI pressed the beacon button one more time. The green light flared brightly, then settled back to its steady rhythm. She held the tool against her cracked carapace, where the silver patch covered her wound, where Tysik's hand had steadied her, where his courage had entered her heart. The stars outside were cold and distant, but in her claws the small human tool pulsed warm and alive. A heartbeat in the dark. Park Tysik's heartbeat. She would carry it with her, always. Queen GA stood tall in the high command room, and her carapace was smooth and whole again. No cracks, no silver patch. The medics fixed her, but inside she felt different, stronger, weaker, changed. The room was big and shiny. White walls, bright lights. 10 Velnari leaders sat at a long table. Kor, Ren, and Vex stood behind them. Their armor was clean, their heads held high, like heroes. The head leader, Elder Mok, spoke first. His voice was deep, calm. Majesty, we are glad you survived. The guards acted wisely. They saved the hive's future by fleeing. The human was useful, but he was just a tool. Expendable. GA felt hot anger, like fire in her chest. She walked to the table. Her claws clicked on the floor. She stopped right in front of Kor, looked down at him. Useful? Expendable? Her voice was low. Dangerous. You ran, Kor. You ran when the scar came. Yes, you left your queen alone to die. Kor didn't look away. I saved the hive, Majesty. My duty was to the bloodline, not to one life, even yours. Your duty was to me. GA slammed her claw hard on the table. Bang! Everyone jumped. You swore to protect me, to die for me. But you ran, you saved yourself. She turned to Ren and Vex. And you followed him. You abandoned your queen. Ren shifted his feet. We followed protocol, Majesty. Survival of the hive. Protocol? GA laughed. It was a sharp, angry sound. Protocol is for cowards. Real loyalty is staying, fighting, even when you die. She pointed at the empty space beside her. Where is Park Tae-sik? The human? He stayed. He fought. He died saving me. While you three ran like scared hatchlings. The room was quiet. The leaders looked uncomfortable. Elder Mok cleared his throat. The human made a choice, Majesty. A foolish choice. He gained nothing. His death means little. The hive continues because you live. Thanks to our guards. GA's many eyes burned. She pulled out Tae-sik's multi-tool, the small gray device. She placed it on the table. The green beacon light pulsed softly. Beep, beep, beep. This is Park Tae-sik's tool. He gave it to me before he died. He said, signal the first friendly ship. He thought of others. Even then, she tapped the tool. A screen lit up. It showed a recording. Tae-sik's face, calm, covered in soot. He was in the smoke-filled corridor. He pulled GI into the crawl space. He covered her body with his own. He stayed still while Scar searched. He didn't run. He protected her. The room watched. Kor looked away. Ren stared at the floor. Vex shifted nervously. The recording changed. Tae-sik and Auxiliary Bridge Delta. Checking the door, placing the small black boxes, saying down before the explosion, fighting the Scar with smoke and cables, not with big weapons, with smart moves, simple tools. Then the engineering shaft. Tae-sik climbing down into the dark, the reactor's red glow on his face, his last nod to GI. Go. The recording ended. Silence filled the room, heavy, thick. Jia picked up the multi-tool. Her voice was quiet but sharp. Park Tae-sik did not run. He did not hide. He saw danger, and he stayed. He used his small rifle, his small tool, his small human body, and he saved a queen. He saved this ship. He saved lives. She looked at Kor. You have strong armor, big weapons, but you ran. He had nothing, but he stayed. She turned to Elder Mok. You call him expendable? He is the reason I stand here, the reason the hive still has a queen. Without him, you would have no hive to lead. Her voice rose. Park Tae-sik showed more courage in 1 hour than you all show in your whole lives. He fought for what was right, not for what was safe. She slammed the multi-tool on the table. Bang! The green light kept pulsing. Humanity is not weak. They are not fools. They are strong. They are brave. They see a problem, and they fix it. They see someone in danger, and they help. She looked around the room, at every leader. We were wrong, so wrong. We looked down on humans. We thought they were small, weak, not important. But Park Tae-sik proved us wrong. He was a real warrior, a real protector. The door hissed open. Captain Lee Soo-min entered. She wore her neat blue uniform. She bowed to GA, stood quietly near the wall. GA pointed to her. Captain Soo-min is here. She is human, like Park Tae-sik. She came to check on me, to offer help. She looked back at the leaders. From today, the Velnari hegemony changes. We recognize humanity as equals, not as small creatures, not as tools, as allies. Elder Mok looked shocked. Majesty, this is too fast. We need time to discuss. No, GA's voice cut through him. The time for talking is over. The time for action is now. She stood straight, proud. I declare humanity is now a Tier 2 interstellar power. We will trade with them. We will share knowledge with them. We will work with them. She walked to Captain Soo-min, placed a claw gently on her shoulder. And from this day forward, every Velnari diplomatic mission must include human security, trained human soldiers, like Park Tasik. They will guard our envoys. They will stand beside us, because we have learned humans do not run. Captain Suman's eyes were wet. She nodded. Thank you, Majesty. Humanity will not forget this. GA turned back to the table. Her gaze landed on Kor, Ren, and Vex. You three, you are stripped of rank, stripped of caste. You will serve the hive as laborers, in the deepest mines, where you can think about what real courage looks like. She didn't wait for their protests. Leave my sight. The guards left, heads down. Shame on their faces. GI faced the leaders again. Park Tai-sik's name will be in the Hall of Allied Heroes, first human ever. His family will be honored as kin of the hegemony. They will want for nothing. She picked up the multi-tool. This tool, it will be in the hall too. A symbol, a reminder. She walked to the window, looked out at the stars. The Starlight Sovereign floated peacefully, near other ships, human ships, Velnari ships, working together. Captain Suman joined her. He would be proud, Majesty. GA nodded. She held the multi-tool against her carapace, over her heart. He didn't do it for pride. He did it because it was right. She pressed the beacon button. The green light pulsed brighter, steady, strong. Beep, beep, beep. Tell me about him, GA said softly. Not the soldier, the man. Captain Suman smiled. Park Tai-sik was quiet, kind. He liked simple things. Good food, old earth music. He had a sister, young. He sent her money every week. He worried about her school. Her voice cracked. He wasn't a hero because he wanted glory. He was a hero because he couldn't walk away from someone in need. GI closed her eyes. She saw Tai-sik again, not in battle, sitting in a mess hall, eating a plain ration bar, smiling at a joke. A simple man, a good man. He asked if I could walk, she whispered, when everyone else ran. Captain Suman placed a hand on the window. That was him, always seeing the person, not the title. GA opened her eyes. The stars glittered cold and bright, but the green light in her claws felt warm, alive. She pressed the beacon button one last time. The light flared bright green, then settled back to its steady pulse. She would carry this light with her, always. A heartbeat in the dark, Park Tai-sik's heartbeat. A reminder that true strength isn't in big weapons or fast ships. It's in the choice to stay, to help, to stand firm when others run. Irina the Velnari had learned a hard lesson, from a small human with a calm voice and a steady hand. Humanity, fuck yeah. Not a joke, a promise, a new beginning. GA watched the green pulse cut through the starlight. One beat, then another. Strong, constant. Park Tai-sik's legacy, living on, in the hearts of queens, in the halls of heroes, in the simple, steady light of a multi-tools beacon.